Good morning, everyone. This is Ted Bermagos, and this is the May edition of the Child Support Connection. And I'm really happy. I can't believe that 2026 is flying by so fast. So this is May, and it's the first Monday of the month. So we are going to hold our monthly Child Support Connection event. And just really grateful for the opportunity to come and talk to folks about things that are happening here in Delaware as it relates to the child support program. And then if you've tuned in previous episodes, I'll call it episodes, you know that I love taking questions from the public, and folks put those questions and comments in the comment section. And I stop what I'm doing to be able to tackle those questions and concerns. Because ultimately, the folks here at Child Support, we are very interested in trying to make sure that individuals who are required to pay child support obligations, meet their court-ordered obligation amount. And we understand that some cases are a little bit more difficult than others, and we really don't give up. And we always try to encourage custodial parents not to give up either. So with that being said, what I always like to do is first and foremost share our mission statement here at the Division of Child Support Services. So it's our mission here at the division, the Delaware Division of Child Support Services, to deliver quality customer support by partnering with parents to improve the lives of their children and their families. This is achieved through obtaining accurate child support orders to meet the financial, the medical, and the emotional needs to promote family self-sufficiencies, and of course the best outcomes for children. So that's our mission statement here at the Division of Child Support Services, and it's really about supporting and propping up families. And some of the things that we do here is we try to, as best we can, to work with non-custodial parents, and those are the individuals that the court here in Delaware has said they're going to pay child support. So we try to work with them too, because we understand that they have to pay their child support obligations, but we also want them to be able to make enough to support themselves in addition to paying on a regular and consistent basis child support. So that's really what we try to do, and to make sure that people are meeting their obligations. So and like I said, we know in some situations where non-custodial parents are struggling to meet that obligation, as well as to be able to support their own needs, and we try to work with them through various programs that we have here at Child Support, or making a referral to other state agencies such as the Department of Labor, or other agencies here within the Department of Health and Social Services in Delaware, who we work. We're one of the divisions within DHSS. So with that being said, the second thing I always say at the beginning of all of these episodes is that please, if you put a comment in the comment section, to not put any personal information about the other party, about your children. We'll go ahead, and if we see some of that, we'll hide those comments. But we truly don't want to be putting personal identifiable information in the comment section, because one of the most important things about us doing these monthly child support connections, is to be able to answer questions from the public. we've helped so many individuals who have tuned into these events understand not only to understand the child support process, but I have other individuals from my office that are also tuning in who they'll be able to in live time look up a person's child support case and relay some information to me that I can then share with the person who's writing the comments. And we've helped so many people that way, where my folks are tuning in also and are helping me share information with them. So that's the other thing. Personal identifiable information, don't put it in the comment section. We really appreciate that. One of the things that I haven't mentioned in a while is how important it is for us to have updated contact information from both parents. And that also includes having a valid email address that we can update in our child support system. As custodial parents, hey, I'm getting my payment to the U.S. bank issued Relia card, the Visa card, or I'm having the money deposited directly to my bank account. Why do I don't, we kind of lose touch with people because they're getting their money through those electronic methods, but there's often times where we're trying to reach out to them, either through regular sending them a letter or by phone calls or having to send an email. So it's so important that even if you're receiving payments, that we have a good mailing address for you. And that includes non-custodial parents also. Having a valid address for both parents definitely helps the move that child support process along. So certainly we are encouraging people, even if you haven't been in contact with us in a long time, that you provide your mailing address, updated contact information, so that we can reach out to people if we need to get in contact with you. So, and I haven't mentioned that in a while, but we have had situations where the U.S. bank issued card doesn't get to someone, and money starts rolling in, and we can't send it to the card. We don't have a bank account to send it to, and we've held money for custodial parents until they've contacted us and say, hey, my child support has stopped, or why aren't I getting my child? I had a situation several years ago where I heard from a custodial parent that said, you guys aren't doing anything for me. I'm not receiving my child. My child's not receiving their child support payments. I went and looked up their case. Lo and behold, we have like $10,000 here because we did not have a valid mailing address for that person, and they did not sign up for direct deposit or the U.S. bank card. So it was a great opportunity for that. I said, come in, and we will hand deliver to you a check for $10,000. They were extremely happy. They gave us their updated contact information, and we were able to get payments to them through the normal methods. But ideally, that's not the best way to do things. When those payments come in, the federal government says child support, you have 2 days to get that money out the door. So we work really hard to make sure we're accomplishing that, and making sure that people are paying their child support, but also that we can get that money out the door. We certainly don't want to be holding $10,000. That's a ton of money, and that made that custodial parent's day when we were able to say, yeah, we got money here. We've been looking for you. And we actually, believe it or not, we actually have an individual that works for us here at Child Support in our accounting unit that is trying to catch up with custodial parents because we have money on hold, and we need to get it out the door to them. So we have a process to do that. It's always been my hope that I could bring some of my colleagues that do some of these jobs that are outside of the norms to bring them on these Facebook live events and have them describe some of their job responsibilities and be willing to tell all of you, what they do. And I think someday I'll get someone that's brave enough to come on Facebook with me and do a mini interview for them to talk about some of the things some of the important things that they are doing to help make sure custodial parents are receiving those funds. That's just so important. The other thing that, and I know I mentioned it at the April Child Support Connection, the other thing I still want to do, and I'm going to set up a meeting with my community relations officer, and I think he's tuning in here, is I would like to hold a Facebook Live event, a special event, after hours, only for invited non-custodial parents. Like, we open it up to folks, and we send any and all non-custodial parents that want to participate a special link, and that we could have a meeting such as this specifically for non-custodial parents, so we can talk directly to them about child support and how we can make their job of having to pay that obligation each and every month a little easier. So I still do want to hold that special event for non-custodial parents to participate in the child support process, because I think I've spoken to a lot of non-custodial parents over the years, and a lot of their delays in paying child support stems from the lack of knowledge. And I think that having a conversation with just non-custodial parents to hear some of the things that we can improve on, also talk to them about some of the things they can improve on, and then having a respectful and meaningful conversation about how to improve their paying of their child support obligations. But I think lack of information is one of the things that really hinders their success. One of the things I would certainly make clear to non-custodial parents is you can come to our office anytime to talk to child support employees about your child support case, and you'll never you should never be fearful to do that, because we would never set somebody up for failure, and we would really want to do our best to work with non-custodial parents to get that child support in. So I am going to try to set up a meeting with my community relations officer, and then have some updated news for you in June about a plan maybe for over the summer, and really gauge the level of interest by non-custodial parents, and really get the viewership up, because and then this is the other thing I want to mention too. By doing that, having a video, a child support connection after dark, for non-custodial parents, we can certainly post that event on our YouTube channel and share it with our department in their YouTube channel or their Facebook page, and put it out there so other non-custodial parents can see it. One of the things I started doing started last month, I'm going to continue to do it this month, is really to promote our YouTube page. Facebook changed their video storage process, and we can only keep these videos up for 30 days. We then have to, and I see there's a question, but then we post it to our YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and you look up Delaware Child Support Services, the Delaware Division of Child Support Services, you will see our YouTube channel, and all of our Child Support Connection live Facebook Lives are posted at the YouTube channel. So the question from Ms. Baynard is, how can we find out what the arrears are for the non-custodial parent? This is an excellent question, and this is something that people need to know. So thank you very much, Ms. Baynard, for asking it. There are multiple ways. And I'm going to hit them all for you. Number one, you can call our customer service unit number at 302-577-7171. So that's 302-577-7171. We have an automated assistance line. So this is when you just want to find out what your arrears balance is. You can just go ahead and call that number, and one of the prompts is to hear what the outstanding arrears are, and the system will tell you that information, as well as the last time a payment was received on the account and how much that payment was. You can then, as you call that number, you can actually hit, I think, number 5 on the dial prompts and actually speak to a child support specialist. And they can tell you what the arrears balance is on your child support case. The third way, and you've already touched base on it a little bit, is through the portal. So if you go to, I'm kind of explaining for everybody here. And if you go to my.delaware.gov and create a username and password, my.delaware.gov, create a username and password, you will have access to the my.delaware.gov website. And as part of that, you can, as one of your apps, you can bring over to my.delaware.gov the child support customer service, I call it the customer service website, also known as the customer service portal. And that's what I believe Ms. Baynard is referencing here. You can go into the portal and actually look at an account statement. It should work. You can look and find an account statement for your case. And you do need to, and I should have mentioned this, if you're calling the customer service unit telephone number, or you've created a username and password to get into the child support customer website, you do need to have your case number available, because you will need that to access your information in the portal or through the automated assistance line. But if you go into the portal, you can review an account statement and print that account statement at home. So, so I have not heard, and they usually tell me, I've not heard from our customer service unit supervisors and managers, and I've not heard from our systems employees that there is a problem with the portal not showing what the account statement and what the arrears balances are. So if you need assistance with the customer portal, you can certainly call our child support office and we can get someone to either call you back and have a conversation about it. And then I do believe, and I'm thinking they're still there are some tutorials on our website, just our Delaware Child Support website under DHSS. If you go to delaware.gov and look at directories up in the left-hand, the right-hand corner, you'll be able to find us in the list of state agencies. But you should be able to print an account statement in the portal. And then I see there is a question from Ms. Smith. So let's see here. Let's see. If the non-custodial parent is in another state but has since moved to another state that is not Delaware and has a current CDL license, how can the Division of Child Support track them down? I received a correspondence stating that the correspondence has been sent to the other state, which is no longer there. Then I received a correspondence from that state to be asking me to give them information on how to locate him, if I have it. But if he has a CDL, so can he be located that way? Okay, so I'm going to do my best to summarize what you've written there. Please, Ms. Smith, jump back into the comment section if I get this anywhere wrong. So the non-custodial parent used to live in Delaware but moved to another state. And then Child Support here in Delaware has reached out to that first state saying, hey, he lives here, but now you're reporting to us that he is no longer in state number 1 and has moved to a second state. And if that is correct, what we should really do, and I'm going to suggest this, and like I said, I've already said there's people from child support also tuning in, and they can correct me if I'm wrong. What I think should happen is we should really reach out to state 1 and say, hey, he's no longer in your state, but he is in another state, and have them just close their case altogether. And then Delaware should reach out to state number 2 and say, he is residing in your jurisdiction, and we would take the same steps as we did with state 1 and ask state number 2 to register the Delaware child support order in state 2's jurisdiction, and then go ahead and enforce that court order. They would take it to their judiciary, get our Delaware order registered in their state for enforcement, and then go ahead and work that case on behalf of you and us here in Delaware. Now, when we talk about CDL licenses or licenses in general, normally, and I've seen this happen before, if we have suspended his license here in the state of Delaware, we would also be reporting that to the second state that he has moved to. So, like, let's just say he's moved to, the state of Missouri. Missouri would see that Delaware has suspended his license for non-payment of child support, so that if he did try to register, don't leave me yet, Ms. Smith, I have a couple homework assignments for you. If he did go to Missouri and say, I'm here to get my Missouri license, they would deny him that ability because he has a suspended license in the state of Delaware. So this is what I need your homework assignment. What I need for you to do is to call us here at Child Support, and then, or if you also have the customer website, the Child Support customer website that I've described earlier, you can reach out to your worker directly through. That's another advantage of having the customer website. You can reach out to your worker directly and say to them, in writing, through what I call a quasi-email system, he no longer lives in state number 1. He lives in state number 2. The first state should close their case, and let's pursue him in the second state. So, So what I would do is reach out to us and let us know what you know. Hey, he lives in state number 2 now, and we need this case moved to that state, and have state number 1 close out their interest. The last thing you want to do, that's great. The one thing you don't want to do, and it always complicates matters, is having multiple states involved. And that's why, non-custodial parents who jump from one state to another, it really does complicate matters. Not only for us as a child support agency, but for them as the non-custodial parent, because the clock doesn't stop. These arrearages that are accruing here in Delaware are going to continue to accrue wherever he goes, or wherever they go, So it's better to just get a handle of it, get serious, and start making these payments direct, on time and as ordered. In some cases, Delaware doesn't even have to get another state involved if, an individual is working or is complying on their own with the child support obligation. Why, I say why complicate matters by bringing in a first or second state in some cases. And those child support arrearages just don't go away. They will stay with that non-custodial parent until they're satisfied and paid in full. The more states you get involved, right? This is a message for the non-custodial parents. The more states you get involved, the more account statements there are out there. The differences, different arrears balances that are going to be showing, and reconciling all of these account statements and account records. It does become complicated. Who has jurisdiction? Who can send a wage attachment? It just becomes complicated. So my message to non-custodial parents is continue to pay if there's only one state involved, and if you're moving, pay that state directly, get your employer to reach out to the state that has that court order so that they can mail payments. We can get child support payments from employers all over the country. We don't have, it's better for us and our clients if we don't have to get a second or third state involved. Other child support agencies say the same thing. It's better if we can just keep this case in Delaware or in their state and have a single state involved. So thank you, Ms. Smith, for that question. Really appreciate it. Yeah, reach out to us and let us know. Give us an update and sign up for the customer website portal. You'll really appreciate the fact that you did that. I have heard from clients that they like it and they know that they can reach out to their worker directly through that portal. I think Ms. Baynard had a follow-up, so I want to make sure I address that. Yeah, so I only asked because I got a letter saying that it was reported to the credit bureau. Okay, yeah, that is one of the enforcement tools that we have, and reporting people to the credit bureaus when they've reached a certain threshold. And I hate to, I think it's 2,500 or more will put you into that credit bureau reporting to the 3 credit bureaus. But go to our website, and not the portal, the customer website, but go to our website and it'll show you the different thresholds for credit bureau reporting. But thank you. Let's see here. There was another question. Let's see here. Modification taking 3 years. So, Mr. Troth, so let's back up a little bit. When we talk about modifying child support orders, the family court here in Delaware, I'm speaking for Delaware only, likes to review court orders every 2.5 years, or once you cross over that 2.5 years, the court really would like folks to consider filing a modification, except for if there's been no change in either individual party's financial circumstances. And then I'm going to touch base on one other thing where I think you may be going with your question. If there is a financial change in anyone's circumstances, I got a promotion, or I got a demotion, and that's going to result in a different pay scale. You're not going to be making as much because you got a demotion, or you're going to be making more because you got a promotion. Child support may file a modification with the family court that says this individual is making more. He's making over 10% more than he made previously. We could go ahead and file a modification petition with the court prior to that 2.5 year period. And vice versa, if the non-custodial parent, I'm not working at that position any longer, I don't work at that company any longer when this court order was created, I'm now working at a different company making less, I should file for a modification. So that usually happens every 2.5 years, or if there is a substantial financial change in someone's circumstances, they can file for a modification here in Delaware. Now, I can also read your question as that you filed a modification already, and it's taken 3 years to get done. And if that is the case, then you need to reach out to the family court directly. If you are the non-custodial parent, if you are a non-custodial parent and you filed a modification with the family court and it still hasn't been heard yet and it's 3 years later, you should reach out to the family court and find out. You should find out why it's taking so long. And then it says here, you've added on here that you're still paying for 19 years living campus. I'm not sure about that last part, but let's take this opportunity to talk about emancipation of a child here in Delaware. So here in Delaware, when we talk about child support obligations, if a child is 18, um, uh, that is like the first step as far as emancipating of a, for a child support obligation, ending that child support obligation. If they turn 18 and they are no longer in high school, the obligation can be terminated. But now if a child is 18 but still in high school, the courts then look at the graduation date. And when I say graduation date, it is to the date. If the child graduates on a Wednesday in June, that is the date that the current support obligation, I'm talking about current support, ends. If the child is 18 but still in high school, then they go to the 18th birth to the graduation date. Then the current support obligation would end. And then if all else fails, if the child is 19 and still in school, that is when the obligation would end once and for all, the current support obligation. Now, child support arrearages go on for until they are satisfied. That's why we tell custodial parents, sometimes custodial parents call up here and say, I've had enough of this, it's in arrears, my kids are emancipated, the current support has ended, I no longer want to have to deal with trying to collect on these arrearages. And we try hard to discourage people from canceling those arrearages and wanting us to close that case, because you never know when we're going to have a hit and that non-custodial parent will win at one of the casinos and we get a hit from the casino, or wins the lottery, or is involved in a personal injury lawsuit of some sort, or a workers' compensation. So we always tell custodial parents, don't give up on those arrears, and we'll over time we'll continue to work to collect on them. And then it's something too, when I talked a little bit earlier about addresses. Yep. When we talk about addresses, keeping our addresses up to date, we send out letters to non-custodial parents when we think the kid is getting close to emancipating, to remind them to go and revoke the obligation. So I see here, Mr. Tull, you've added some more to that, and I thank you for that. You're saying that he's graduated from high school. He's currently living on a college campus, I'm assuming. That's great. And you're still paying. You should only be paying if you have, now this is just if you have a single kid. You have one kid on a child support order, the current support ended or should have ended. So if you're still paying when he is 19, please make sure you're only paying on the child support arrearages and not current support. Now, let me also add, I know it's starting to get a little confusing, but let me add a little bit of clarification. When there's a single kid on a child support order, in most cases, what we will do at child support, we will say, family court, we want to convert this current support obligation to an arrears payment. So I'm going to keep it simple to you, simple for everybody. Let's say the current support was $50, and you also had a $10 arrears payment for a total obligation of $60 a month. The child emancipates. He's turned 18. He's graduated from high school. The courts say current support is over, but we're going to let child support convert that $50 current support payment to an arrears payment, and the total arrears payment now is going to be $60. So instead of paying the $50 on current support, we've added it towards an arrears balance to help non-custodial parents pay that arrears payment off quicker. So you can do two things here. Call our office and ask, hey, this total amount that I'm paying, is it just on the arrears balance? And one of the things I tell non-custodial parents is, you can pay whatever you want. If the arrears payment is $60, if you want to pay $100 a month, pay some extra. On our website, there talks about all of the ways you can make a payment. And if you want to pay $100, guess what? All of that $100 is going to go towards that arrears balance and pay it off sooner. So I'm always encouraging non-custodial parents, pay extra. Get that arrears balance paid in full. So if he's graduated, call our office and check to see, or sign up for the customer website through my.delaware.gov and take a look at the account statement and see what payment is being applied towards the arrearages. Now, the last thing I need to tell you, I'm glad I just remembered this. If you call our office and they say the kid's emancipated, the child's emancipated, but you're still paying a current support obligation, find out why. You shouldn't be paying it if it's for one child. If say you have two kids on that child support order, you still may be paying a current support obligation. But it would be, you could go to the court and see about modifying the obligation because one child is still under the age of emancipation and one child is emancipated, and should they reduce that current support obligation? And that's a question to be asked to the family court. That's when multiple kids are on that court order. And it's a good opportunity for me to tell everybody, if you go to family court because you want to file something, you could go to their pro se office. Their pro se office or their resource center, right? I call it by both names. The resource center can help folks determine what they need to file at family court. So I have a question here from Ms. Horn. So let's see here. Can you have us sign waivers to have caseworkers leave messages when our name is not on our voicemail? We already verify all of the information when we call in, and it's just phone tag. Yes. Okay. So, that is actually a good idea, Ms. Horn. That is a good idea because oftentimes we do have to protect personal information. And I understand what you're saying about, hey, I called, left a message, and left my phone number in our case notes. We've got your phone number, and when we call that phone number, we're calling and saying, this is so and so at child support. Please call me back. Instead of saying, this is so and so from child support, and your arrears balance for child so and so is blah blah blah. So I get that, and I like the idea about a waiver, and I do have somebody listening from my office, and they're making a note of that as we speak, and I think that's a great idea, and we will either and actually I'm going to a meeting tomorrow with child support supervisors, and I will bring this idea up to them, as well as saying to them, if our child support specialist sees that the client called and the number has been verified, and they call them back and have to leave a message, that we should be leaving a detailed message. I want to talk to them about that, get their opinion, and see. I kind of agree with you that if they're looking at the case note that was verified, I guess the only other thing is, listening to a voicemail. Can someone else listen? Not a voicemail per se, but if someone, this might be outdated too, about like answering machines and stuff like that. But if it's calling a cell phone and we get a voicemail, we should be able to talk to you. So let's do this. I see that there's another question. Also, it comes up as spam. Oh, gotcha. Thank you for that too, Ms. Horn. I appreciate it. I'm going back to Mr. Troth because I do have some information for you. And I first want to give you this. Don't hang up after I tell you this because I did get information from my coworker about your case. So our customer service unit telephone number is 302-577-7171. And I'll make sure I put that in the comment section. And I'm going to put that in here. And then The other thing I wanted to report to you is, and I got to go to a different screen. Okay, so yes. So I'm going to suggest you do this. This gets a little complicated because there are multiple states involved here, and there are multiple children involved. So it's not a simple cut and dry situation. So my suggestion is for you to call our office, speak to a child support specialist at that number, and then someone will get back. Either the child support specialist who's overseeing the case will get back in touch with you, or our customer service unit child support specialist will be able to answer your questions in detail. There are multiple complications to your particular situation. So thank you though for these questions were great, and it got me to be able to talk a little bit about when a child emancipates and the steps that we take to either revoke the current support obligation or to, what we say here at Child Support, to convert that current support to an arrears payment. But your case is a little bit more complicated. So, yeah. But I appreciate the questions. These were all great questions. And, Ms. Horn, your question or comment, it may even change how we do things around here. And that's one of the benefits. This kind of stuff excites me because this is about customer improvement, providing a quality customer service, and this will help improve not only how we communicate with you, but how we maybe start communicating with clients, all of the clients that we deal with. So I would like to hear about quality improvements. And this will definitely be a benefit, I think. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. We want to help, and we want to make sure we are doing things that are beneficial to our clients. And when I say clients, it's not only custodial parents, it's non-custodial parents. So thank you for that. Yeah, really great stuff. And the one thing I do love about what's taken place today, and I hope this continues in June and July, and is I have not had to use, besides reading parts of our mission statement, I have not had to go to my script of things that I want that I will talk about to fill time. These have been great questions, and I'm really appreciative of folks that have left comments and questions. One of the things that I don't talk about enough is just our website. Our child support website, and I've already mentioned this, but I'll mention it again. It has a lot of great information about the child support program in general, about some of our enforcement tools, about some of the ways that a person can make a payment. Just a lot of good information. And I do think at one point we did have on our website, and I'm hoping it's still there, how to go to my.delaware.gov and learn how to log into my.delaware.gov, how to log into our customer website. And it's a step-by-step. Do this, and this is how you do it, and do that, and this is how you do that. And to give people access to that tool to communicate with us here at Child Support. I always wonder, how many people have we saved from having to get in their car, drive to Child Support, only to get an account statement that they could have gotten from the portal, the customer website, by going to my.delaware.gov. So think about it that way. You can print that account statement from home, not have to come to the child support office. So that's great stuff. So we have about 15 minutes left, and I'm going to check to make sure I didn't miss anybody. I did not miss anybody. So I thought what I could do in the last couple minutes here is to Get a drink first. Is I thought I would talk a little bit about some things that are going on at Legislative Hall. So for child support, well, let me back up. So in Dover, Delaware, is our legislature. And for folks that maybe don't know, here in Delaware, our legislature is made up of the Delaware House of Representatives and the Delaware Senate. And what they do is they create, through legislation, they create laws. So they're actually creating laws in Dover 3 days a week, and it's open to the general public. Anybody can go to Legislative Hall and see how the legislative process works. So in Delaware, in Legislative Hall, they are actually working, I think it's like 4 or 5 bills that in one way or another could potentially affect the child support program. And I'm going to try to go by memory here. The first one is House Bill 341. And House Bill 341 would stop referrals to the Child Support Office from our Division of, the Division of Family Services at the Department of Services for Children, Youth, and their Families. They would stop foster care referrals to the Child Support Office for cases where they believe reunification of the child and their parents is going to take place. So if the foster care program believes that that the child is going to be reunified with their parents, they're going to stop referring those cases to child support for us to collect child support payments for foster care reimbursement. And the biggest thing about that, I want to just kind of talk a little bit about this a little bit more. I see there's a message here, but I'm going to finish this and I'll go back to Ms. Baynard's question. The biggest thing about stopping these foster care referrals is when the parents get back together, or the kid comes back into the household, we at Child Support still go after those parents to pay off child support arrearages. And what that does is it actually takes money out of the household that the child is living in. So stopping those referrals from coming to us in the beginning will actually help support that family in the end when we stop getting those referrals. And having to pay back child support arrears and taking money out of the household. So Ms. Baynard, I see you got an error message when you tried to access the account summary screen. So 2 things are going to happen. Number 1, I'm going to alert folks here that you're getting an error screen. And I'm going to ask my people to make a note of that who are viewing this, that you're getting an error screen, and I'm going to find out why. And then secondly, I'm going to have to unfortunately refer you to the customer service number. Place the call, speak to our customer service employees, and they can tell you what the arrears balance is. And then also let them know the account summary screen is messed up and you're getting an error screen. And I will, and they will also be able to direct that to our systems employees. And I'm going to give them a message too. I'm sorry about that. That's really an inconvenience. Should I send it? Yeah, you can. Yes. Also, yes. Please do that too. That's a great idea. Thank you. Yeah. Please send a message to the worker, letting them know. And you know what? In that message, just ask them to let you know what the arrears are, and the worker can do that for you. And ask them, can you please tell me what the arrears are, and they'll let you know. Because you can do that through the portal too. Thank you. Yeah. So, excellent. So that was the first bill, House Bill 341, about foster care referrals. Now, House Bill 343, that is our bill, our child support bill. We asked through our department to have a legislator sponsor a bill that we would like them to pass to change the Delaware code related to child support. And I probably should have mentioned this too. If you go to the state legislative website, Delaware State Legislature, and you put in title under Delaware laws, and if you go to Title 13 to section Title 13, Section 22, that's the laws for the child support program. Section 5 is also code, Delaware laws related to the child support program. And if you go to those two things, you'll see some of the laws that affect the child support program. So House Bill 343 will help us. It's a simple bill, and we believe it's going to pass with both the House of Representatives and the Delaware Senate and get signed by the governor. That's the third step, to get signed by the governor. And that's going to help us using certified mail serve non-custodial parents. And we are already doing this, but the authority currently lies under Title 10, not Title 13, but Title 10, and that's the Delaware code that affects the family court. So we're just trying to update our section of the code to mirror what's already in the family court section of the code, and that's House Bill 343. And that is already passed the Delaware House of Representatives, and it's on its way to the Delaware Senate to be heard in committee there. I'm hoping this Wednesday, or if not this Wednesday, next Wednesday. So the Wednesday following. So that's House Bill 341 related to foster care, House Bill 343 related to allowing child support to send notices to non-custodial parents by certified mail. Then you have House Bill 357, and that bill is looking to get a floor vote tomorrow in the House of Representatives in Dover. And House Bill 357 will update the part of the code that deals with extending child support obligations for individuals, for children, extending that obligation into adulthood for people who are determined to be, I hate to use the word poor, but it goes deeper than that, and it deals with individuals who have severe disabilities. And so it extends that age of emancipation beyond that age of 19 for individuals who are disabled. And so that bill is being heard tomorrow in the House of Representatives, and it will affect how we manage certain cases for individuals who are disabled, so or who are deemed poor by the family court. And like I said, that's moving its way through the legislature now in Dover. And then there's House Bill, it's now Senate Bill 250. And that bill has already passed the Delaware State Senate and is waiting to be, I forgot, last week it also cleared the House Judiciary Committee and will be heard by it's up for a vote by all of the members of the House of Representatives. I believe it's this week it's going to be heard and be voted on down in Dover, and then make its way to the governor's office to be signed into law. So that's very exciting, Senate Bill 250. And Senate Bill 250 is a very, I say, extremely complicated bill because it talks about codifying, number one, various other methods for the inception of children. It also talks about same-sex couples and how they can become parents. And it delves into a lot of medical terminology and a lot of genetic markups and all that kind of stuff. And then it also talks about and keeps in place one of the things that is most encouraging to us. Part of the legislation that we put in place back in 2022 that does not allow minors to sign voluntary acknowledgments of paternity. And for everybody who's concerned about that, we pay for genetic testing for those minor children to ensure that there is no pressure forced on them to sign voluntary acknowledgments of paternity. But Senate Bill 250 is being heard tomorrow in the House of Representatives. So we're happy about that. And the other thing it does, it makes, and this is the other thing that I need to mention, it makes things gender neutral. And it's called Senate Bill 250 is called the Uniform Parentage Act. A lot of work and effort has gone into getting this bill moved through the legislature, and very, very exciting, very exciting. So, Jill, you're going to get the last question of the May child support connection, and you got it in just under the wire. So I am going to take a look at it, and let's see here. Okay, so this is rather long, so folks, bear with me. We'll stay on as long as we need to get this question answered. So the non-custodial parent lives in Florida, and the mom is in Delaware. I'm assuming the children are in Delaware. I am having to work, let's see here. I'm having to work through the Florida Child Support Program with my Delaware Child Support caseworker. I am not allowed to talk to Florida directly and have to go through the Delaware caseworker. I'm glad you're bringing this up. This is really good stuff. I have sent a second amended proposal. I was sent a second amended proposed administrative support order, which I am not agreeable to. He hasn't paid child support in 2.5 years. How many times can we try to amend the support order before a hearing is necessary? The NCP, the non-custodial parent, works on commission, so it is very hard to prove any of his income. Florida was not able to obtain his salary records because he hasn't paid his taxes in 3 years and hasn't given his paychecks. What is involved in the hearing? Okay, so Jill, there's a lot here. So I'm going to try to answer the question the best that I can, sitting from where I am here in the state of Delaware. So I want to talk first, and like I said, we'll stay on as long as we need to. I want to tackle first, because you're not the first client to bring this up, the fact that you have to work through the Delaware Child Support Program. This and not communicate directly with the state of Florida. So that is how the process works. And it's I don't want to say that it's federal regulation, but we often have clients that want to communicate directly with that other state agency, and we have clients that from Florida or from other states that want to call child support here in Delaware directly, and we have to refer them back to the child support program in which they currently reside. So because you live here in Delaware, you have to communicate with us here in Delaware, and we should be doing our best to communicate in the most efficient manner possible. And I say that because there are multiple ways that we in Delaware can communicate with Florida. The easiest, of course, is picking up the phone and calling that caseworker in Florida directly and having a conversation with them. But there's electronic methods that we use too to communicate with other states. And it's always so important because we in Delaware have to keep track of what's going on. So when we talk to Florida, they will communicate directly with us in the most, hopefully the most efficient manner possible, and then we communicate with our client. And that way, both of our records, our child support computer systems, are being updated with the most current and correct information that we're getting directly from that out-of-state agency. So that's why it's always so important for us to communicate for you on your behalf. Now, when you talk about administrative hearings that are happening in this case, the state of Florida, this is really a question that we should be asking them. So, and if you haven't communicated it to your worker, that you want to know how many times do we have to go through this administrative process before it gets heard by a member of the Florida judiciary, we can find that information out for you and relay it back to you. Because I don't know, I can't answer on behalf of the state of Florida. I can tell you that when someone works on commission, or is not willing to provide, like if it was a Delaware case and we were going to the Delaware court, we would ask the mediator. We don't have administrative processes like holding hearings and creating court orders in Delaware. We are for the most part, a judicial state, even though we have some processes that are administrative, like intercepting a tax return or something, refund or something along those lines. So we could certainly ask this question of the child support agency in Florida and relay these concerns to you, like how long does it take before this gets heard by a member of the judiciary who can basically put him under an order to provide that financial information. So it's unfortunate, but to answer your question as it relates to these court processes or these administrative hearing processes, this is something we would have to ask our colleagues at the Florida Child Support Agency to get you that information, and ask them, like, why aren't they taking steps to, and I don't know if they do this, so I'm just shooting from the hip here, can they subpoena his financial records? Can they go to his employer with a subpoena to get the commissions that he's made, to get what his annual salary is? I don't know if they have processes like that, but it's certainly something we can ask them and relay that information to you. So I know it's not very helpful, but let me see here. I know I saw a question from Mr. Troth, so I'm going to come back to him. But I want to kind of can wrap up with Ms. Bush here. It's just been difficult to respond to Florida within the time frames when it goes through both channels within 10 days. Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. Please, if you haven't done it already, relay these concerns to the child support specialist and ask them to relay it to the state of Florida, and then and we'll go ahead and do that. They should be willing to do that for you, because it's a good question. Like, how long does this process for administrative hearings take before it gets heard by a court judiciary member? And then about subpoenaing. I can't say it today. I'm sorry, but getting the records from the employer through a subpoena. Do they do something like that? And can we ask that the state of Florida, reach out to that employer using the subpoena process? I'm going to go back up to Mr. Troth, and then I see there was a question from Ms. Kleins. So let's see here, Mr. Troth. Oh, I remember Delaware saying they couldn't reach out to her. Letter was returned. I'm not sure how is she receiving the payments. I talked a little bit about that earlier. Maybe she's got the U.S. Bank issued Relia card. Maybe she's got direct deposit and we're sending them electronically. You're saying, just last week I got a letter saying my case is registered in Delaware, but they've been sending me letters. collecting child support through my past and current jobs in Georgia. A lot of different information. It's confusing. Yeah, contact us, talk to a worker, see if they can help, kind of, maybe chart it out for you, what states are involved, where the payments are coming, where the payments are going, that kind of thing. Yeah. Why does DCSS break up? Sorry, I got an email that came in here. Break up my child support payments. So there's a lot there. So, and such a little thing. So breaking up payments. So let's talk a little bit about when we receive a payment from an employer, we log that payment through our child support system. I don't know. I don't have your case up. I'm not looking at the non-custodial parent related to your case. But one reason why we will break up payments received from a non-custodial parent's employer, and I don't know if this is specifically related to you, this is just hypothetically speaking, is if the non-custodial parent has multiple cases that he is paying on. Does the individual have children from multiple individuals? And every payment we log from a non-custodial parent goes out to all of the cases that they may have in our child support system. There's different amounts that are going to different people based on how our child support system is programmed. It depends on if there's current support related, if there's just an arrears only case, how many children are on each of the cases, that kind of thing. So child support payments will get distributed amongst all of the cases that a non-custodial parent has. We try our best to make sure that the system distributes them so everybody gets a little bit. Let me finish off by saying, if the non-custodial parent is paying consistently each month and the employer has all of the cases that they're withdrawing those payments from, for every case will and should get what they're obligated to get each month if the payments are coming in the full amount from an employer. There's a lot of variables, but the biggest reason is multiple cases that the non-custodial parent has. So he only has one case. It only started happening this year. I don't know the answer without looking at your case, and there's certain information, depending on, the other thing too may be is if the individual isn't earning enough, the employer can take out a certain percentage of their total income, their total pay to pay off the obligation. So it may appear that it's being split or broken up, but it may be that the employer is just sending in a percentage because the individual hasn't been making enough to meet the full child support obligation. And then I see Ms. Ruba has entered the chat, and these are great questions, and we'll continue as long as we need to. There are many new enforcement measures. Are there any new enforcement measures yet for non-custodial parents that currently has a capias for significant arrears? So thanks, that's what I thought. Okay. The only new enforcement tool, and this is really right hot off the presses, and I don't even know whether it's been implemented yet, but the Federal Office of Child Support Enforcement is working some legislation through Congress. This is in D.C. now, that would allow the state child support programs to revoke a passport. So we are looking, Delaware is looking, once that passes and is signed off on by the president, we would look to try to implement those new revocation of a passport. So if someone has a passport already, we can revoke it. So So yeah, so revoking a passport, that would be new. Other than that, I can't think of any new enforcement tools that are going to be coming down the pipe. So, but thank you for the question. Really appreciate it. And just what I only had to refer to my notes, I think, one time. This was an awesome edition of the Child Support Connection. So grateful. Folks, please go to our YouTube channel. There are a bunch of videos there from past Child Support Connections. So go to YouTube and bring up the Delaware Division of Child Support Services, and you will see our YouTube channel. Thank you for all of these great questions, and I'm going to just close out the video and really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And tune in next month in June. Usually these are held on the first Monday of every month from 11:30 to 12:30. If we change, and if we have to bump this to a different day, we will put out notice on our YouTube channel. So on our Facebook page. So thank you very much for tuning in, and take care. Thank you.